Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe, and it's Sunday, so we are doing breaches of the week. And this week in data breaches was actually kind of shorter than usual. I was really surprised, but we have some spectacular data breaches that did happen, and we're going to dive into them. But thank you very much to Sanders Sleidnerink, Jacqueline Wolf, Scott Smith, and Anna Sorensen for sending me a lot of this information. And this week, we are talking about Nintendo, Qantas, SonicWall, and a whole bunch of other big companies. And it is kind of a nuts week, even though it is shorter. And with that, let's head on down under and go to Qantas. Now, I talked about them last week, if you recall, and the Scattered Spider Lapsus Hunters, aka Trinity of Chaos, now have leaked basically Qantas data as they were threatening to do for a while. They were caught up in the Salesforce data breach, as were a bazillion large companies. So 5 million customer records have now been dumped as a result of that ransom deadline passing without Qantas paying. So the airline, as I mentioned, is one of about 40 or so that is now on a custom leak site just for the Salesforce breach. Salesforce ain't having a good year, neither are their customers. Moving on, AVNet. Essentially, the breach of data, which is being held for ransom, occurred when unauthorized people, according to my notes, and yeah, I would imagine they're people. Oh, then again, we are talking about AI these days and automation, so yeah, I guess we now have to distinguish people versus AI. Anyway, these jerks attacked an externally hosted cloud storage that was supporting an internal sales tool for essentially their European, Middle East, and Africa territory, EMEA, and that's according to AVNet, which first reported the news, but they're saying that the stolen data was quote-unquote unreadable, meaning it was probably encrypted, so hopefully it's no harm, no foul. And with that, let's go to the mini segment real quick, simply entitled, If You Just Spent Money on Cybersecurity, You Wouldn't Be Losing Your Reputation, You Wouldn't Be Spending Money, and we sure as heck wouldn't be talking about you right now. And let's start with NASCAR, specifically the Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing Team. So RFK is what they go by, no relation to obviously the Health and Human Secretary, but RFK Racing, a NASCAR team, they're part of a proposed federal class action lawsuit following their data breach. They started notifying people on September 12th, and this data breach discovered affected 13,632 people, which I'm guessing maybe fans, because that would be a huge amount of employees for a single racing team, but I don't know, maybe they are that big. Moving on. Reed Health, they just agreed to a settlement to resolve class action litigation over their alleged use of Metapixel and other tracking tools on its website. If you recall, I talked about this a while ago, where a whole bunch of health companies are like hospitals, all that kind of stuff, were integrating like Google trackers, Facebook trackers, all this kind of stuff. And so they're getting caught because that's a HIPAA violation. So according to the lawsuit, Jane Doe v. Reed Health, filed in Wayne County Superior Court in the state of Indiana, Reed Health impermissibly disclosed patients' protected health information to these tracking technologies without any kind of knowledge or consent. And yes, this is not the first lawsuit or class that we've seen against this entire mess, and it won't be the last. Moving on. Las Vegas-based Boyd Gaming. I literally talked about them last week getting hit, and already literally less than a week, an employee has already filed a lawsuit for a potential class action as of Friday, October 3rd. Moving on, I have no more information on that other than Boyd Gaming. We are just seeing the turnaround happen so fast, and so Boyd Gaming is just in that boat. Moving on, y'all remember Park Mobile? Like 4 years ago in 2021, basically attackers got more than 21 million Park Mobile customers' info, license plates, email addresses, phone numbers, mailing addresses. They're finally paying out 4+ years later. So if you filed a claim, you basically, and you could have chosen to get your payment in cash up to $25, which, yeah, there you go. But if you didn't file a claim and you were still impacted, they're going to pay you too $1. There you go. That is the cheapest. I mean, it'd be more expensive to print the actual envelopes and stamps, basically to get the dollar to you. But $1, you're going to get $1 if you didn't file a claim. So consider yourself compensated? I don't know. Anyway, those were the lawsuits, etc., for this week. And if they had just spent money on cybersecurity, they wouldn't be getting breached. They wouldn't be ruining their reputation. And we sure as heck wouldn't be talking about them now. Back into real time. I want to give you an update on SonicWall. That's the firewall maker. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about them, and on September 17th, security vendor SonicWall did announce that attackers had stolen backup files configured for cloud backup. So if you're using the SonicWall cloud solution to configure and back up your firewalls, that's what we're talking about here. Now, at that time, SonicWall claimed that the incident was limited to, quote, less than 5%, end quote, of its customers. Now they're saying everybody. If you're using my SonicWall cloud, and if you are listening to this, you might know what a SonicWall is. If you've got one in your life, you got to go change your credentials. You've got to go back it up some other way, I guess. But this is a huge black eye because hundreds of thousands of companies and organizations use SonicWall firewalls. I'm not a big fan, but okay. And here we go. So heads up to you, SonicWall users. Moving on. BK Technologies Corporation. Now, they're based in Florida, and they specialize in communications equipment, and they identified a breach in September of 2025. Their forensic analysis determined unauthorized access to non-public sensitive information, potentially including personal records of current and former employees. So, if you have anything to do with BK Technologies, I'm assuming nothing to do with Burger King itself, heads up. Moving on, AppFolio. This is a cloud-based business management solutions provider for the real estate industry. So heads up, all you real estate folks. The incident involved an unauthorized access to AppFolio's hosted CRM system between August 8th through the 18th of this year. Now, an investigation basically reportedly says hundreds of organizations are going to be impacted here, and they found that unauthorized access involved requests to retrieve data from specific locations within that CRM system that housed personal information. So, if you're in real estate and you're using AppFolio, the cloud provider, you want to check in. Moving on, and this one sucks. Let's talk about Nintendo. Yes, everybody's favorite gaming console. Gotta love Mario and Zelda. So, apparently, Crimson Collective, the hacking group, for the record, I talked about them last week, they claim responsibility for Red Hat. They're now saying that they've successfully hacked Nintendo. And come on, dude, really? Everybody loves Nintendo. Anyway, the claim surfaced earlier today on social media platforms, with the group sharing what appears to be screenshots of internal Nintendo directories. But at this point, nothing has been verified. So Nintendo might come out and say, yeah, that's not us, it's being fabricated, or maybe it is, we don't know. But the screenshot shared by the group seemingly depicts folders related to Nintendo's internal development projects. But without any kind of corroborating evidence, we just don't know if it's fabricated or not. Nintendo has not issued a statement at this time, and so here we are. No independent cybersecurity researchers have verified this yet, so best of luck to you, Nintendo. I really hope it's fake. And finally, like I said, it was a short week this week. Finally, we have to talk about basically a state legislator in the state of Michigan. And quite frankly, he's very anti-porn. He's a pretty conservative guy. But here's my preamble on this, because I think this is an interesting one. But as always, cybersecurity is agnostic to politics, but we're not immune from it. And if this dude was a Democrat and not a Republican, I'd still be talking about this, because it's interesting, and I think it underscores a couple of different things. One, it gets a little humorous or possibly hypocritical, but two, you're about to see here why this is a potential issue, especially in the modern era. So that's why it's our finally. So here's what's going on. Information that was allegedly leaked onto two different websites has been, and these are cyber websites, has been linked to accounts apparently owned by Michigan Republican State Representative Josh Shriver of Oxford. Now, these include accounts on adult entertainment, hookup sex sites, webcam sites, this kind of stuff. Now, Shriver, for the record, is denying all of this. He is actually saying that info is not his and that it is forged. Now, here's why this is interesting, because he introduced a resolution to make same-sex marriage illegal again. Also, he's written legislation to ban all pornography. He's vetoed bills, or voted against, rather, bills banning things like child marriage, closing marital rape loopholes, all this kind of stuff. He's a very conservative guy. And again, we're agnostic to politics here. He can believe what he wants. You can believe what you want. But the point is if this is actually his accounts and they eventually become verified, that is incredibly hypocritical, right? I mean, if you're going on adult websites and hookup sites and all of that, and you're claiming to have values that are basically against that, in the antithesis of that, that ain't a good look for anybody, right? But him saying it's forged, and again, I can't adjudicate that. I don't know if it is or not. For all we know, it completely is fabricated, but it really underscores the issue that we have in this day and age, especially when it comes to leadership, whether it's a state or federal elected official. and that we do see a lot of deepfake information out there. And so this really, and this is something I want to talk about here, which is the liar's dividend. And that's essentially the issue here that we have. Now, we've seen this used in court where we know, and the general public understands, that information can be fabricated. This absolutely, I could go on Pornhub or something and make an account that looks like this guy and then basically try to pass it off as him when he didn't do that. Or maybe they're his. But the point is that because we, the public, are essentially conditioned to know that deepfakes are out there, the actual liars in the world will take that and basically exploit it to their advantage. I'll give you a perfect example of this. Elon Musk, he in court, basically over Tesla's autopilot, like self-driving system, was being sued. And one of the plaintiffs against Elon Musk and Tesla had basically said, well, that he or she had watched videos of Elon Musk saying, well, you know, the auto driving is perfect. You can let it do everything, blah, blah, blah. Basically, Elon Musk overstating it. Elon Musk's argument was, how do I know that that plaintiff was watching me? There are so many deep fakes on Elon Musk. He's a very prominent guy. Everybody knows him in the world, love him or hate him. And so is it possible that that the person watched a deep fake and thought it was him? That's the angle. Now, courts are very good. They've had centuries of vetting counterfeits, all this kind of stuff. So they're very good at verifying actual evidence, chain of custody, all these kinds of things. So we know it was Elon Musk that she saw. You know, we could prove that in court, right? But the point is, we have basically a legislator here saying, I'm not doing any of those things, and my voting history proves I'm against all of those things as well. And maybe he's not. Maybe it's a secret. We've seen basically people that have said one thing publicly as legislators, and then they're caught with their pants down, literally. So I don't know what the answer is here. If Representative Shriver is actually doing this stuff and now he's using the liar's dividend, or, you know, if it really is fabricated. But that's the point that we have right now in society, is our minds are being poisoned by this. We don't know right from wrong. And until this stuff is adjudicated, it's in our best interest to step back and take the position that I'm taking right now, is that you might absolutely hate him because you're on the other side of the political aisle and think, he's a jerk, he's a cad, he's doing all these kinds of things. Or maybe you're on his side saying it is forged, it is. The point is, we all need to step back. We all need to take a breath, and we all need to really just vet information. This is all going to come out at some point, and at some point, Mr. Shriver is going to be confirmed or not confirmed to have done these things. And by virtue of that, we need to take that time. We have a problem with news delivery in real time. It's so easy to insert disinformation, and then it's so easy to exploit disinformation when you're caught, because then you can simply say whatever you were caught with is disinformation. So it's a huge problem that we've got right here. And so that is why, quite frankly, the last breach we're talking about is our minds. And we need to step back, and we need to have that filter. So best of luck, one way or the other, to Representative Shriver, but here we go. So those were your breaches of the week. Like I said, we lacked quantity, but I do think we made up in quality, unfortunately. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, 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 remember to stay private, informed, and secure. Take care.